guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. So, big news, guys. I don't know if you like these kind of videos. I love making these type of videos. To some of you, it might be kind of obvious, I guess. It's one of those like revelations. I've been playing this game for a little bit over a year now. I think that I did my first sponsored video on Raid Shadow Legends featuring Chosen, who I mentioned in a couple videos ago, right? On my main channel, right? On my main Supercell channel that I've had for 7 years. And since then, I've gotten so hooked on this game. I've been uploading it almost every day on this channel. We just hit 40,000 subscribers. So cool to experience building another channel kind of from scratch. And knowing that, you know, maybe it wasn't just like a fluke one-hit wonder thing that, you know, it happened. I don't know. I'm rambling here. But either way, it's been a really incredible journey. I just want to thank you guys, not to sound super corny about it, but wanted to thank you all for kind of joining me along this second channel. You know, it's really cool. But I went through one of these moments that I've only had a couple times in Raid Shadow Legends where I made like a major change to my account, and I almost had like a revelation, not to put too strong a wording on it, which is way too strong of a wording, where I was like, why am I playing this way when I should be playing this way? And that's what happened to me. So what is it? First of all, it's like I look at my champion collection, right? And first of all, like I am a dirty pay-to-win player, so I don't want anybody to watch this video and be like, I don't have those champions, screw you, bro. I want it to be like, you know, okay, it doesn't matter what champions I have. It's more of like the thought process that I want to discuss, right? So I have all these champions, all these max champions, really cool, right? But I only use, even some of the really good ones, I don't even use, right? Because I have a little bit better ones at whatever they're doing. You know, there's plenty of examples of that. I won't go through them all because I don't want to like take too much time because I'm already going to ramble on long enough, I'm sure, in this video. So I have a bunch of champions. And I'm like, I have them all built the same for the most part. You know, I have them all built to be, you know, if they're attack-based champion, they have an attack chest. If they can deal any damage, they have crit rate or crit damage gauntlets on them, right? And, you know, if they're attack, again, if they're a nuker, I have attack or whatever on the accessories. Basically, I optimize if they're an attacker for attack, or if they're a debuffer, probably for crit rate in some other utility like CC stun or something like that. And then very seldomly do I have like an all-out defensive champion. And that's where the revelation came. It's like, okay, cool. I have my main dungeon teams at this point in my account, right? I have a team of 5 champions who can beat every dungeon at level 20 with a 100% success rate. It doesn't matter if that takes you 30 seconds or if it takes you maybe 30 minutes, yeah, but if it takes you 6 minutes. Doesn't really matter because the only resource in this game that matters, right, is energy, right? Because energy is basically your cash, right? Your money that you can exchange for artifacts, you can exchange for silver, you can exchange for whatever, you know, potions in the crypts, right? Or for scrolls. So that's your resource in this game. So it doesn't matter how long. So I thought to myself, why am I even bothering to put attack accessories on my nukers? Why am I bothering to have all of my champions who I don't use already in dungeons or the arena? Again, I'm talking about I have my main team of, let's say, I don't know, a dozen champions who I use either in arena or I use in a dungeon, any of the dungeons in the game. But then beyond that, I have a bunch of champions. And how do I decide which champion to max out next anyway? Because at this point in my account, I think I'm pretty good. I'm pretty, you know, like, oh, so who do I max out? Is it just who I want to make a YouTube guide on? No. The idea here is that all these champions that I have built with all this crit damage and attack and all this stuff that I don't use. Foley's a great example. I don't use him. Great champion, right? But why do I have an attack, or I actually have a defense on him, so I take it back. But why do I care so much about his damage output? I should care about prioritizing defense and sustainability on all my champions for 2 reasons. Number 1 is, where do I use all my champions, or most of my champions? Faction Wars, right? And number 2 is Doom Tower. Doom Tower is coming out, and we know that the Tower of Doom, or the Doom Tower, whatever the hell it's called, is going to be more difficult than Faction Wars. So why do I give a damn about how fast or efficiently I'm doing anything, really? I don't care. So for Faction Wars specifically, I made a change, guys. And we're gonna go ahead, I'm making sure I really rush. I'm probably recording this video a couple hours before it goes live because I wanted to get to my Faction Wars team. I started this 2 days ago. And I was able to go from being stuck at level, 18 through 21 in Faction Wars to all of a sudden I'm able to, 4 Faction War crypts, I'm able to beat level 21 after making these changes. The first thing that strikes me is, what kind of idiot am I that I didn't think of this sooner, right? Like, what the hell, man? But essentially all it is I took all these champions and I switched all their gear. I re-geared all my champions that I'm not using for other areas of the game. Even some champions that I am using for other areas, Arena being the exception. I kept my Arena teams the exact same because I want them to do damage, right? That is an exception to this rule. But for all these other champions, like, I had the same team, right? I had the same team as I do right now, and I couldn't beat level 19 with it, with really good gear. But I switched up all the gear. For example, Kriela Witch-Arm. She's an attack-based champion. Granted, she's still a support champion, but if we go to my champions, I had her in, a crit rate, an attack, and like all these stats that doesn't freaking matter, dude. I don't care how long it takes. I just want to win. So I switched out her attack chest for a defense chest. I switched out a lot of, she still has crit damage, but I switched out a couple of these gear pieces. Accessories. I had attack ring on her. I switched it to HP. I still kept crit damage on her, which I want to change. I want to switch that to defense. I don't need the extra crit damage on my Kriela Witch-Arm, on really any of my Faction Wars champions. I forget what I had, attack or whatever on her banner, maybe even an accuracy. I swapped that out for defense, man. I want her to stay alive. And the same thing goes for, maybe Kriela wasn't the best example, but the same thing goes for every single one of my champions. Grohawk the Bloody actually is really good in Faction Wars because he has this ability, Lord of War, which fully steals the target's turn meter, great against the boss, right? So even though he really needed a buff, Plarium, what the hell, dude, But either way, I swapped out his gear, man. I still have the attack ring on him only because it has a triple roll on defense. Like, sure, of course I'm going to use that. But I put a defense amulet on instead of crit damage. I put HP on his banner. If your champions have relatively low HP, banners and rings are a great way to boost up that HP because putting a percentage HP piece on those champions doesn't make a lot of sense because it doesn't scale that well. Like 15k HP is not as, a great idea putting an HP chest on him as it would be putting defense, which scales a little bit better. So just kind of keep an eye on those things, but I like to put some HP on these champions as well as defense. I don't want to load them up in 100% defense gear. I want to have at least 1 HP gear too. That way, in case there's a champion that ignores defense on the crypt or the enemy team or whatever, I have some HP as well just to help out, right? So again, I swapped out his gear. I put a defense chest on this dude. And again, I'm still going with speed boots on these champions, but I'm prioritizing HP and defense on all my champions. Now, this doesn't just apply to the Doom Tower and to Faction Wars. This applies to you guys struggling to beat level 18 of Spider's Den, right? I think that we get, at least me, and maybe some of you guys make the same mistake that I did. Maybe you didn't, I don't know. But I think we get caught up in kind of like attack champions need to be attack-based. They need to have a lot of attack in their kit, right? And, in defense-based champions, of course, I loaded up on defense, but, I made that change. I made another big change too, and this is like pretty obvious. Everybody knows about this, but I wasn't very vigilant with it, and I just did it right there. It's A1 cycling. A1 cycling, and again, this applies not just to Faction Wars, it applies to every dungeon in the game. It just anywhere you're struggling. Nightmare Campaign for some of you guys, right? Go on auto at the end of at least the first round, right? And just finish off your champions. Just look at the affinity matchup and say, oh, okay, I should attack him, right? It's pretty easy to do. And what you want to do is just make sure you just go A1 cycling when their HP gets low. So at the end of this round, again, I only want to use my A1s here, so I take it off auto. It doesn't take that much extra time. It's a little bit of a pain, whatever, but essentially what I do is I just go on auto and I just use A1s. That way all of my best abilities are not on cooldown when I go into round number 2. You can do the same thing if you're struggling in round number 3. So A1 cycling is something that you should do anywhere that you're struggling with progression in this game. Before you get, especially Faction Wars, I'm sure Doom Tower too, when you approach the end game, before you get to the point where you're going to kill you know, there's 1 or 2 enemies left in the first wave with low HP, just take it off auto every single time and just cycle your A1s. That way you're you know, in turn also reducing the cooldown of your big, you know, special abilities. So here I usually lose Zargala in this run, but you know, this is what I did again. It's not just here in Orcs Faction Crypt, right? It's also everywhere in the game, right? Everywhere. I made this change, and it's been incredibly, it's like I said, it's been dramatic, right? Any area I was struggling in, I'm able to progress at least 2 levels more in any of those areas. And I would actually suggest you taking this one step further as well, right? You can actually go to take away some crit rate on these champions, right? I mean, it's kind of, you got to play it by ear, right? It might not make sense on every champion, but take away their crit rate gauntlets and try putting on defense gauntlets. Try putting on HP gauntlets. Obviously, looking for champions that do damage based off defense is going to be your first priority. So for Doom Tower, and again, low HP on the enemies here, I'm just going to cycle A1s. I'm going to play this one really safe here. So we'll go after the proper affinity matchup and just kind of cycle, right? Yeah, consider doing the same thing, guys. I think it's going to help a lot of you guys out, truthfully, and I really do feel like I've made a huge mistake, you know? I feel like I made a huge mistake, and I wanted to, who knows, again, a lot of you guys might be like, dude, this is super obvious, man. But it was something that I was doing wrong for a long time, and now I just see the immediate, you know, rewards from doing it the right way, and I'm like, dude, this is a game changer for me. And as I said, we're actually going to get a new legendary champion once we beat all the faction crypts. And I know, you know, 99% of you guys are probably a long, long way from doing that. I still have a few crypts that I need to work on as well. But, you know, when you start thinking about this high-end content or anywhere that you're stuck in the game, I guarantee it's just going to help you out quite a bit to focus on defense. So let's see if we can finish this one out here. And again, I only have a few minutes left before the reset, but this will go through no matter what. But you'll see, I'll end this video here. I mean, I've gotten across all the points that I wanted to share with you guys. I swapped in the defense, even some champions in other faction wars that I haven't shown you in today's video. I did the same thing, but I took away their crit damage or crit rate gauntlets. Especially champions that I already had, damage-dealing champions that I already had in crit damage gauntlets means one thing, right? It means I was able to get that crit rate from other gear, other artifacts on those champions. So that means they're already close to 100% crit rate anyway. Instead of that 80% crit damage, even though it's a lot, if it's 5-star, 65% crit damage, trading that off for end game content or anywhere that you're struggling with, trading that off for defense is going to make a world of difference, especially in your amulets, your accessories. All right, come on, Ash. Especially your accessories too. So I highly, suggest you guys consider this. And you can see here, it's not going to be a fast run. None of these runs are going to be fast when you follow these simple steps, right? Because the idea here is we're loading up so much on defense that we're going to take a hit from it. I love Vrask, by the way. For Faction Wars, man, just able to heal everybody back up every time. So every time, by the way, because of the Ally Protect, I end up losing Sandlash Survivor, but I always end this fight with the 3, Growhawk and Kreela and Vrask alive, and it has a 100% success rate, so I'm really, really happy with this kind of strategic change. I want to throw a question to you guys before we end the video. Is there any one change that you ever made? Maybe it will give me an idea, right? Because I certainly don't know it all in this game, right? I'm not going to pretend I do. And that's why I love videos like this, where I can just kind of share a revelation, even if it's something that doesn't really help you, and just kind of follow my raid journey, right? That's what this channel was all about. So is there anything that you guys changed or encountered in this game that made it a huge difference? Whether it's an artifact change like me or anything else. Is there anything else that you've done that made a dramatic impact on your account in general? For me, I can say, you know, other than just getting a champion, this has probably been the most dramatic progression change on my account. Getting Krisk the Ageless for me, who is one of my recent best pulls, I think like 2 or 3 shard opening videos ago, was the best pull I've ever had. Krisk, I think, I'm not going to sit here and say he's better than Sify, but for me, he was better than Sify because I already had a lot of champions who kind of had the same buffs as Sify, and Sify's incredible. Don't get me wrong, but Krisk though, he just made a huge difference on my account. I use him in my main arena team now. I switched from arena offensive team, a speed team with Arbiter, to a defensive team. I'm enjoying arena so much more. Doesn't matter if I have the best team in the world. It's not about, having god tier champs or god tier gear or anything like that. It's about enjoying yourself, right? And I enjoy, even if it takes longer, right? I can't arena farm like I used to without a speed team, which I have for backup for farming medals. But for me, I just get so much more enjoyment watching a defensive team like Razin and Krisk on the same team. It's incredible. So I would, even if I didn't have these awesome OP legendary champions, I would definitely, if I could do things over, I would build, especially for tag team, I would build a defensive-based team. Just pick champions with an increased defense and that all do damage based on defense. Work on building a team of them, a team of 4, and I think you're going to really enjoy it as well. So this match is probably going to take like 7 more minutes, so I'll probably cut, and the reason being is because he has it's a 12-turn cooldown, exchanges remaining HP levels with a target enemy. So at some point, he's going to be way back up to full HP, and it's going to take me another 3 or 4 minutes to chop him down. So I'm going to cut to the end of this battle. Be right back. Alright guys, so it took a while here, 11 minutes and 53 seconds in, 2 turns away from the HP exchange. We will kill him in maybe 2 shots? Let's see. We just need Grohawk to go. Boom, and... okay, Vrask gets the final blow there, and we get a 4-star speed glyph. Not too shabby there, guys. And there we go. That's going to go ahead and end this video. I blabbed on long enough, guys. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. And as always, take care, guys.